Okay, Friday edition of the After Show. Got Wink and Justice with you. Wink over here on the East Coast.
And Justice over here on the west coast of the contiguous United States of America. It is Angle of Repose Friday. Yes, folks. Surveys say that is the angle in which a granular substance stays in place on a slope, but we feel that it's really the angle in which you are reclining in your Barca lounger reading Wallace Stegner's Angle of Repose. All right. Got through that one. Made it to another Friday, Wink.
Yes.
Which means that we're going to be totally wore out by Monday from all the other news that will be coming up right after our show. Oh, God.
Indeed.
But how's your weather?
Not bad. It is 18 degrees. It's in the teens. It's not going to get much higher today. About 21, 22 is going to be what I like the high for today. So we're back into winter mode. That's 61 degrees. 62 was kind of an aberration, I guess they call it. Yeah, we're back in there. But, I mean, it's supposed to warm up later in the week, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's supposed to be back in the 40s for a high.
Well,
so, kind of a little more normal.
Yeah.
Getting towards spring, getting there. Slowly. Mind you, get in the chat. Just go to netrootsradio.com. Scroll down the bottom of the page, and on the right-hand side of the bottom of the page, there is a link to the chat. So click that. Join us there.
And to the left-ish of the chat room link are the donate contribute buttons, and we really appreciate your generosity there. And after show pods can be had by way of Spreaker.com for the raw data file. Comes up quite quickly, followed by the perfected files on Podbean, on iTunes, Spreaker. Is that right? Yeah. No, I mean Stitcher.
Yeah.
Stitcher,
yep.
Spreaker first and everything else after.
Yep.
So you can do that. And thank you, folks, for clicking in on those. Wink here along the banks of the Rogue River in the Rogue River Valley of Southern Oregon. It is currently 34 degrees. We are not supposed to get anywhere near 50, though there's some area that's supposed to get close to that. But mostly it's going to be around 47, 46. Quite foggy right now, low lying. And rain is supposed to be coming maybe around 11 to noon here.
There you go.
A few more hours. I don't know if that's going to give me enough time to take care of the lawn.
I don't know. I'm in the same boat. I just can't find that time slot there.
And we're supposed to have a few days of snow coming up late weekend. Maybe late Saturday, but certainly Sunday, and then Monday.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it's going to stick. I mean, they're saying snow, but we'll see. So I don't know. I know that mosquitoes have like glycerin in their blood, but I don't know. I'm hoping that maybe they get frozen to death, and so we decimate the mosquito population.
They luck it off.
What I'm hoping does not happen is that we're just like proliferating them. They're just going to get prolific. They know that stuff's happening. They go dormant. They make sure that they produce even more eggs. Right. Nature does have a way of balancing things out. And we might be the itch on the Earth's back that it's trying to get rid of. You never know, buddy. You never know.
Oh, for real. Yeah. Yep.
Well, Jeff Sessions had to recuse himself, and so I guess the next thing is that he's going to be like Mitchell and the others. It is kind of weird how the Republicans, each of them, have this like scandalous, just over the top, like what the hell are they doing? They get a little bit of taste of power, and it affects them absolutely. And what do they always say? If you don't want me to treat you like a stereotype, quit being the stereotype. I hear that all the time from them. I'm all,
yeah.
Well, the joke going around is that, Sessions basically said, I was getting so caught up in being able to do racism, I forgot about that I might have been doing perjury. And that's apparently, what has happened. Yeek. So somebody said, was it Al Franken? I'm trying to think, or was it Schumer? One of those two said a fuse has been lit, or maybe it was Dan Rather. I don't know, but it is true. Wink, a fuse has been lit, and
yep,
and the reason you can't
moving in that direction.
The reason you can't really compare this to Watergate is that it took 18 months or more for Watergate to really start going.
Yeah, it did.
Let alone for people to leave office.
Yeah,
right. So that's why you can't compare it to Watergate.
A lot of stuff the first year was on page 3, page 4.
Took them 18 months, took this guy 40 days. So, to do worse. Because I don't think, for as far as we know, Nixon really wasn't in cahoot with Ruskies.
No, I don't believe so, no.
So it's kind of different there, too.
Yeah.
Trump, of course, calls this whole thing a witch hunt. And I'm thinking, I think it's more like, a Red Scare. I think it's like a Red Scare.
There you go.
Yeah. Turnabout is fair play, as they say, huh? Because weren't they coming after every leftist Jew in America and calling them, hey, you're in bed with the Ruskies?
Yep.
And they electrocuted a few in the process. Now, I don't know. I guess the only people that can really negotiate with Russian mobster oligarchs are old Soviet fighters. Because it is true that most of those, Putin is Soviet, right? I mean, old KGB. He ran. He was the spy master. And in the process, I just love it. The State Department, since Tillerson has taken over, has not given one press conference, will not answer any questions posed. Just goes about his duty. He's got some sort of big loyalty medal on his chest that Putin gave him, so he's doing his job.
Yeah.
It's just horrendous. I don't know. I'll put my 2 cents in here real quick, and we'll go over what we will be attending to today. But I have suspicions that for some reason, is this greed and lust in a grab for power that would cause people that you would not expect to be in bed with the Ruskies to get in bed with them? Because it looks like Sessions might have put a lot of these people together in the Trump campaign. Carter Page, Manafort, Flynn. I mean, everybody's thinking like they came first. And yet it was Sessions who is he's the first elected official that backed Trump. Now, you can't say that he brought the Russians to Trump, because Trump has been in cahoots with some form of Russian business arrangements since really before Brezhnev. And who was a constant in the whole process? Yes, one by the name of Vladimir Putin. He was always there. He was Zelig, right? People, okay, then he was what's the mentally challenged guy that box of chocolates guy? What was that one?
Oh yeah, Forrest
Gump. Yeah, he was like, Putin's a Forrest Gump. I mean, he's everywhere, right? He's in all of these various. Zelig is a more appropriate, which is a Woody Allen movie, but people for some reason don't remember Zelig.
Yeah, that's one that I did not see.
Which is where Forrest Gump came out of in many ways. So much was lifted out of Zelig.
Yep.
But Zelig is this fellow who always shows up in these photographs through history. He's always there, right? Photobombing, in a way. And Vladimir Putin was always there in some fashion. And I don't know. How long has this gone on? It's just interesting. And there's a lot of stuff that's under lock and key, secret, which interestingly enough is also top secret. Is, you wouldn't believe this, the Republican plan to replace Obamacare.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You hear about that one?
Yeah. That's undercover.
With Rand Paul and Democrats going down the hall saying we want to see it, and said, no, we can't. It's under. It's like a secret room. You can only go in there with no notes. You can look at it, but you can't talk about it when you come back out. And you're like, what the hell? I don't know. I think they went in there and it said, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, over and over and over and over. All right, these are the issues we will be attending to today, since we're just blowing through time. Oh, my God. All right, travel groups plead with Trump for a welcome message as U.S. tourism slumps from his draconian travel ban. Yes, sir. And we're sorry about the PayPal button, but it's a necessary evil for now. We'll figure it out. But this next story about Peter Thiel is more than Trump's Silicon Valley ambassador, right? Now, he's also the recipient of a $41.6 million government contract to provide Big Brother surveillance systems for mass deportations. Wow. Yeah, it's actually quite scary. First, they came for the brown people, and they knew where they lived and went to school. Jesus, Wink. And immigrant parents fearing deportation are setting up guardianships for their children just in time for Easter. Yep. Hey, we made it to Friday, Wink. So on the last half, of course, it is the Friday News Dump and Recycling Center news that's been repurposed with a purpose.
Indeed.
Yeah, well, this story kind of chaps my gears. Oil industry-backed House Science Committee Chairman Lamar Smith doubles down on his threats to states' attorneys general over their role in investigating Exxon, parenthetically that's Tillerson, right, for misleading its shareholders. What? Okay.
How about that? Yeah.
That's how it works. And Trump's Office of Immigrant Crime has sinister echoes from a dark history. Yeah, I kind of hear some goose stepping in it. Don't you? Echoing? I do. All that, plus the Connect, Unite, Act Daily Codes community calendar and more. There's always more on the after show with that ever so fine fellow over there on the East Coast with his East Coastal elitism. And his name is Wink. And this guy all the way back over here on the West Coast with the unrestrained, I don't know, Euro trashy elitism that's endemic in certain hipsters of a certain age. And my name is Justice. And we do this 5 days a week for about an hour-ish, and this particular tear in the fabric of space-time, because who loves you, baby?
Exactly.
Oh, and one more thing. we're gonna fit in Columbo in there somewhere, somehow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah, 40 days, Wink. 40 days. Well, 41 now, but it's just...
Yeah, I know, yeah.
You kind of wonder how long will it last? And then we have all these people. I mean, like, you got a Tillerson. You have others that are ensconced now and affecting policy. Surveillance systems already up and running, helping out, keeping America safe from itself. Oh, yeah. People know too much. They might be a danger to us losing our power. Got to stop that.
Hell yeah.
Doesn't sound like democracy to me. But I don't know. I'm a romantic. Before we get started, I have to know, how is it going in your local neck of the woods in terms of infrastructure? I mean, seeing any drop-off or anything like that, buddy?
No, we're good. We're good. Streets are really bare for the most part. We haven't had a lot of snow in the last week or so, so it's been pretty good. I'm ready for spring. Really, it's just that the temperature's not quite cooperating yet. But I figure by the middle of April we'll be ready to rock and roll, and I'll be more active out there, Democratic Party wise too. So
Yeah.
I just can't get too excited when it's February, March.
Yeah.
Once it
here too.
gets to the other side of St. Patty's Day, then I get a little more spring in my step, I guess. But yeah.
Well, that's a seasonal thing. I mean.
Yeah, it is. It's just, man, it's just so gloomy, and man, it just kind of, oh my God, I'd love to do something, but I can't get out of the chair. So, but
And
yeah,
then
once we get the other side of St. Patty's Day, yeah, I'll be ready to go. Yeah.
And then real quickly, just another, like where I'm at, and well, let me put it this way: I've been reading polls that show a marked difference in the way that people are interpreting, events of the day.
Yep.
On strict party lines. Trump backers, in particular, Republicans in general, have a totally different interpretation than what I like to say is like the rest of the country, which happens to be Democrat.
Yeah.
And there's more of us. There's more of us too.
Yes,
but
there are.
But still,
there are.
So in any kind, I haven't really gotten in-depth conversations with people about it, but the general feeling I do get when I hear certain subjects broached is it's no big deal. Russians, that's no big deal.
Right.
So are you hearing that in the diners? I mean, what's happening?
You do. You there's a lot of Trump fans here, so you're still seeing that. You see Trump bumper stickers and such, but I mean, we're in kind of a red district anyway, but it's about 60-40 Republican Democrat here. So, but I just want to group up the Democrats as much as possible so that we can actually be more of a collective influence, I guess.
Right.
I'm hoping.
See, if this guy's still around by Memorial Day to the 4th of July, I mean, there's some question, but well, let's just presume. I mean, because the wheels of justice do grind slow.
Right.
But if we see like the Stars and Stripes, the Dixie swastika, and the Russian flag in the parades, then we'll know we're screwed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just the Dixie swastika and the Stars and Stripes. We know we probably got a handle on this.
We got a chance.
But you see the Russian flag popping up, on the big old SUVs.
Yeah.
And then also maybe some sort of weird thing, a circle of stars on a blue background with the big T on it.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've seen those too, right?
Yeah. So yeah, we. That means forget about it. If that starts to happen, we can forget about it. We'll have to start looking at building some communes or something.
All right, I better get on these stories here. They're not terribly long, but no, I was just curious because I don't want to believe that people are just discounting the fact, and it is a fact, that it wasn't just a foreign outside influence, but a downright conspiracy of collusion,
right,
by active parties who sought to prosper from it and did. And I don't know, it just sort of like gives the lie to what we always knew growing up. Law and order, they don't believe in law and order.
No,
they only believe in making up the law, and if you don't follow the orders, you're in trouble. That's all of it. Well,
exactly.
All right. Well, back to the real important things that drives us as Americans, and that's commerce. Come on.
Indeed.
All right.
Yep.
So this first story here is by David Ferguson. Travel group pleads with Trump. Please put a welcome message in your travel ban, please. As U.S. tourism slumps from travel ban. Yeah, I don't understand this guy. I mean, his I guess this is where the actual work of running an industry or a business versus just branding things come into play. Because you would think that if he has these like tourist hotels that's dependent upon tourist dollars, that he wouldn't be like trying to stop tourism. Right? I don't know.
Yeah, you think so?
Maybe I missed that part in the art of the deal. All right. A top travel group is beseeching Donald Trump to include a welcome message in his new executive order on immigration and refugees, according to The Hill. Yeah, just go. If you click on that link, you're going to get some autoplay stuff. Trust me. But it's a necessary evil, as they say. The previous executive order is currently languishing in legal limbo, was so chaotic in its rollout and draconian in its wording that thousands of travelers were delayed, detained, or blocked from entering the country, even legal green card holders. Well, it didn't stop there. Even people who were actually born here were stopped, too, if they were of a particular hue, shall we say. I should interject here, too, is that with new reportage with Maddow and others from the New York Times and Washington Post and others, it looks like a DHS intel report basically presages that there will be no Muslim travel ban. But we'll see, because Trump doesn't believe it. Alex Jones says we need it, so we're going to need it. Doesn't matter what, 17 intelligence agencies and all the military and every law enforcement officer except for that guy with the cowboy hat. Except for him.
Exactly. Yep.
Since Trump's election and inauguration, international travel to the U.S. is down and hate crimes are on the rise. At least 3 of the countries have warnings in effect for their citizens traveling in the U.S., urging them to be alert for gun violence and to have their proper documents on them at all times. Show me your papers. The BBC said the Global Business Travel Association estimated that for the week that Trump's travel ban was in effect, the U.S. lost, now this is just for the week, $185 million in travel bookings. $185 million in travel bookings just for a week. The U.S. Travel Association is hoping to reverse these declines and send a message to world travelers that this is a safe country to visit and that all are welcome, even if it's a lie.
Right.
All are welcome? Give me a break. Safe for people of a particular color? Or I don't know. They're detaining 70-year-old children book authors from Australia.
Exactly.
Okay? 10 hours. What was that all about? I don't know. Because they can, right? Security is a top priority for the U.S. travel community, but it is critical to balance both sides of the ledger. Make clear who is not welcome, but also who remains welcome, said Travel Association President and CEO Richard Dow. Not doing so would be to double down on doubts, discontent, and division that risk significant economic harm. But if you're a white nationalist, I suppose you don't really care. Tourism for white people, all the others can be our servants, and I don't know, extreme vetting, and when they're not working, we can keep them penned up somewhere.
Oh, yeah. No question.
Dow appealed to Trump, the hotelier, to think about the bottom line for his businesses if U.S. tourism slows to a trickle. And this is where I think that it's all about branding rather than actually running a hotel. Right? As a businessman and hospitality entrepreneur, it is safe to say he never intended to discourage legitimate travelers from coming to the U.S. Trump has a golden opportunity, I bet. Yeah, golden and Trump. You better be careful about that.
Yeah.
To address some unintended consequences of his initial travel order when he reissues it in the coming days. Neither he nor the U.S. economy can afford to squander it. Spoken like a true businessman. But, it's still true. I mean, there's so much that our economy depends upon in tourism. When we talk about 185 million in travel, that's just what the agent has put together. That's not people actually calling up. Well, maybe it does do online orders, but regardless, it doesn't include car rentals. It does not also include stays in hotels near the airport. It doesn't include the weekend stays at the B&Bs that people flew to get, to do their thing, right? I mean, it didn't take into account the giant cinema buns with maple icing that cost $11 a piece because they can feed 8 people. Didn't include that. So, the economy gets impacted in a large way, obviously. I mean, it just seems so obvious. And this guy's a businessman.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. He went to Wharton. You'd think that just being there would have, by osmosis. You don't even have to know it.
Yeah.
Just osmosis.
Yep.
But, if he just sat on his money that Daddy gave him, he'd be richer than Warren Buffett. Doing nothing, just let it accrue. No. Actually, he's not doing too bad now. Those just sort of like casual meetings that just coincidentally took place. I think that's a nice way of saying, well, that's where the money was exchanged, where Kiselyov came in and had the bags of rubles, and then we converted it into something that we can, negotiate ourselves. Because he's pretty flush now. How'd that happen?
Yeah.
Pretty flush. This is out of the International Business Times by Lydia O'Neill. To carry out its raids on undocumented immigrant families, Immigration and Customs Enforcement will soon get a helping hand from one of Donald Trump's rare allies in the tech industry, Palantir Technologies, Inc., co-founded by, yes, Chairman Peter Thiel. Co-founder and chairman, Peter Thiel. Palantir won a $41.6 million contract to provide ICE with a surveillance system that, here we go, identifies targeted individuals, and it targets those targeted individual schools, family members, friends, employers, documentation history, communications, criminal records, work and home addresses, and even what they buy at the local Safeway when they put it on their loyalty card.
Heck yeah.
Whether you put it on your credit card or you pay with cash, you use that loyalty card, there you are. Oh my God. They bought 4 more avocados than they should have had money for. Where are they getting it? So it collects all those, which I started to begin, or was slated to begin using in September. Known as Investigative Case Management, ICM. The technology will allow ICE agents to mine a massive pool of data from the DEA and the FBI, among others, according to the intelligence news site, and which conducted an analysis of the product's finding documents, and they have online here what they do. Palantir's relationship with the U.S. government has not been limited to ICE. The Palo Alto, California-based analytics company has aided the NSA's mass surveillance programs, was funded early on by the CIA, and won a suit against the Pentagon for blocking it from bidding for a $206 billion Army contract. Wow. Thiel, who also co-founded the online payment system PayPal and was among Facebook's earliest investors, gained infamy over the summer of 2016 when he funded a privacy invasion lawsuit by Terry Bollea, also known as Hulk Hogan, against the online tabloid Gawker. And of course, Gawker had publicly outed Thiel as gay, even though everybody knew it. And he told people too, but, A longtime Trump supporter, Teal served as a sort of bridge between the new president and Silicon Valley's top executives, organizing a December meeting in Trump Tower that included Amazon.com CEO Jeff Bezos and Facebook Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg. Of course, you could also put there Amazon.com CEO and Washington Post publisher owner Jeff Bezos, who I'm not terribly fond of, but the paper's doing some pretty good stuff lately. With the adoption of Palantir's system, Teal's assistance will go beyond Silicon Valley diplomacy. Already, the agency has arrested more than 680 individuals who, quote, pose a threat to public safety, border security, or integrity of our nation's immigration system, end quote, the Department of Homeland Security said in a February 13th statement. So, pose a threat to public safety, border security, or the integrity of our nation's immigration system. And that means, oh, you've been living here since you were 3 years old and you don't even speak the language? Too bad. Goodbye. And they do. Take them away. 22, 23-year-olds. Been here since like they were 2 or 3 or 7. Goodbye. No hearing, too. Yep. Know about the schools. Is it any wonder they even show up where the daycare is? So when they come to pick up their kids from daycare, unbelievable.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, let's be frightened about the chemtrails because Obama's trying to poison us with truth serum. This next article is out of Reuters. And come on. There we go. Okay. Let me scroll all the way down. I thought it would give me something. Reporting by Christina Cook, Mika Rosenberg, editing by Sue Horton and Grant McCool. Parents who immigrated illegally to the U.S. and now fear deportation under the Trump administration are inundating immigration advocates with requests for help in securing care for their children in the event they are expelled from the country. The Coalition for Human Immigrant Rights of Los Angeles, an advocacy group that has been receiving about 10 requests a day from parents who want to put in place temporary guardianships for their children. Last year, the group said it received about 2 requests a month for guardianship letters and notarization services. Now they get 10 requests a day.
Yeah.
At the request of a nonprofit organization, the National Lawyers Guild in Washington, D.C., put out a call this week for volunteer attorneys to help immigrants fill out forms granting friends or relatives the right to make legal and financial decisions in their absence. In New Jersey, immigration attorney Helen Ramirez said she is getting about 6 phone calls a day from parents. Last year, she said she had no calls. The biggest fear is that their kids will end up in foster care, Ramirez said.
Yeah.
Donald Trump's administration has issued directives to agents to more aggressively enforce immigration laws, and more immigrants are coming under scrutiny by the authorities. For parents of U.S. citizens who are ordered removed, the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, quote, accommodates to the extent practicable the parents' efforts to make provisions for their children, end quote, said ICE spokeswoman. We're doing that now, spokeswoman Sarah Rodriguez. She said that it might include access to a lawyer or a consular official and relatives for detained parents to execute powers of attorney or apply for passports and buy airline tickets if the parents decide whether or not to take the children with them. And if they don't get taken, well, we can just put them in a gulag until someone figures out that maybe they can raise them up to the point where they can clean house for them. Huh. Wow. I wonder, interesting. In both Argentina and Chile, what happened to the children of the disappeared? They were, quote, adopted by rich right-wing families.
Wow. Yep.
Randy Capps of the Migration Policy Institute, a Washington-based nonprofit that analyzes the movement of people worldwide, said that while putting contingency plans in place is a good idea, he does not think the level of fear is justified. During the previous administration, Barack Obama, a Democrat, the likelihood of both parents being deported was slim, Capps said. He doubts there will be a huge shift under Republican Trump toward deporting both parents. The odds are still very low, but not as low as they were, and this is just the beginning of the administration, he said. About 5 million children under the age of 18 are living with at least one parent who is in the country illegally. Now, I hate these terms, but I guess they made it into a de facto crime. It should be undocumented. Sometimes overstaying a visa, but we'll go with how the terminology is here, though I'm not happy with it. In the second half of 2015, ICE removed 15,422 parents who said they have at least one U.S.-born child, according to ICE data. Obama was criticized for being the deporter-in-chief after he expelled more than 400,000 people in 2012, the most by any president in a single year. In 2014, the administration began focusing on a narrower slice of immigrants, those who had recently entered the country or committed serious felonies. Trump has said he would still prioritize criminals for deportation, and if they're here illegally, that makes them de facto criminals. And if they're 30-year-old women with brain tumors, you shackle them hand and foot and get them out of that hospital bed and put them in a prison. And that's what they do. And they're getting that woman processed to get her out of the country. Because she's a criminal, Wink.
Yep.
Criminal. Okay. All right. The rest of the story can be had at the link in my show notes, but you can find, go to the Netroots Radio Facebook page, and that will take you to the Daily Codes page also for the direct links of those stories highlighted, of course. Why don't we get to our Jim Hightower break? We'll come back, go through the Connect, Unite, Act Daily Codes community calendar, and then finish up with the Friday News Dump and Recycling Center. You are listening to the After Show with Wink and Justice on Netroots Radio, and we will be right back.
Bring those jobs back home, Donald Trump bellowed to those greed-headed corporate executives who have hauled our middle-class jobs out of country. Or I'll slap you with a big tariff when you try to sell your foreign-made products here. Great stuff, Donnie. And to prove you mean business, I know just the CEO you should target first. Her name is Ivanka. Yes, your daughter. Her multi-million-dollar line of clothing sold through major national retailers ranging from Macy's to Amazon are pitched to America's working women. Yet, practically all of her products are made on the cheap in low-wage factories in China, Indonesia, Vietnam, anywhere except America. Imagine the message it would send to runaway corporations and the integrity it would establish for the Donald if he slapped his first tariffs on Ivanka's goods. But neither Daddy Trump nor the daughter want to discuss the embarrassing conflict between his political bluster and her ethic of runaway capitalism. Instead, she's tried to dodge the issue by saying it doesn't matter since she'll, quote, separate herself from the business if she becomes a White House advisor. Nice try, Ivanka, but the stench of hypocrisy will only grow nastier if you're at your father's side while he castigates and punishes other corporations that have absconded from America. The only way to salvage even an iota of moral virtue is to repatriate the manufacturing of your brand-name apparel. And bringing those middle-class jobs home to the good old U.S. of A. would also make a powerful political statement. But no. Showing that money trumps both political savvy and the morality of simply doing what's right, Ivanka says her corporate brand will stay offshore. As a spokeswoman put it, we want to make responsible business decisions. This is Jim Hightower saying, really? How does that make America great again?
Need an antidote to the progressive blues? Want some good news about how grassroots folks are rebelling against the corporate powers and winning? Well, here's an easy-to-swallow pill for you, the Hightower Lowdown. Hightower's monthly newsletter will give you the lowdown, even as it lifts you up. It's 4 pages a month, jam-packed with facts you can use, actions you can take, and Jim's own Texas humor, all for only $15 a year. To become a lowdowner, go to hightowerlowdown.org.
You are listening to netrootsradio.com.
Please hang up and try again.
From a point at sea to the circles of your mind, a new force is at work for planetary transformation. New radio for a new Earth.
Okay, we're back.
And indeed, we are back, and thank you for sticking with us. This is the After Show with Wink and Justice. Justice here along the banks of the Rogue River, in the Rogue River Valley of Southern Oregon on the West Coast. Wink is in upstate New York, 21 on the East Coast. Our crew are the ethereal creatures who reside in the cloud, whose advanced intergalactic technical abilities allow Netroots Radio and this by extension the After Show to span the globe, the solar system, out past the Oort cloud, and beyond. Sure. Well, today's Connect, Unite, Act Daily Co's Community Diary, of course, is facilitated by Smiley Creek as it is every Friday. And she starts off her diary with a week in weirdness. And you'll just have to go and check it out because there's so much things that are defined as weird, from what happened at the Oscars to, I don't know, even Bill Paxton dying, you know?
Yeah.
Because their weather service in the Midwest tracked tornadoes in Tornado Alley and spelled out the initials BP on the big satellite map of where there were tornadoes. Just interesting. I mean, that's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Because, you know, Bill Paxton was in the movie Tornado.
Yes. Yep.
All right. So much weird stuff. Go there and check it out. All right. Events currently scheduled. Cincinnati Cossacks are going to be meeting up on March 4th. Oh, my gosh, that's tomorrow. 3:30 to 5 p.m. at the Motor Pub, 1345 Main Street in Cincinnati, with Rachel Collier, Daily Co's Senior Campaign Director, and David Akajian, Daily Co's Contributing Editor. And they're also going to be giving a short program with Josh Nelson from Credo. Oh, yes. So RSVP at the event page that has the link at the Daily Co's Community Diary. Oh, and Colorado Community Cossacks have their Caffeinating Liberally meetup every fourth Saturday of every month. The next one coming up is March 25th at 44th and Vallejo, the Common Grounds Coffee House in Denver from 9 a.m. to noonish. At the table by the piano, Cossack or Cosmail, Left Candid, or Colorado Tim to RSVP. Mark your calendar, Saturday, April 22nd. Yes, that's Earth Day. For the March for Science in Los Angeles, LA Cossacks are going to be marching under the Cossack banner. So Cosmail Susans to connect and set up that event. And New York City Cossacks on Sunday, April 23rd, are going to be meeting up at Spitzer's Corner because Navajo is in town. That's right. At 101 Rivington Street, Cross Street is Ludlow, which makes it the Ludlow District. At high noon, please Cosmail Navajo to RSVP because she's not only showing up to visit, but she's the event coordinator for all of this. Her work never ends.
Yeah.
Epic Glacier National Park meetup number 3 is occurring June 30th to July 2nd, and Thinking Fella and Ojibwa are putting that together. There's a diary for important planning details. Do check that out. and get a hold of Thinking Fella and Ojibwa. Wow, they've got well over 24 people. It's going to be quite a big event. Also, Netroots Nation 2017 is coming up in August, and the Cheers and Jeers annual dinner will be occurring Wednesday, August 9th at 5:30 p.m. at a location to be determined. Cosmeo Navajo to RSVP for a seat at a table, and I would suggest get your RSVPs in early because that's also how she determines whether they have to get a whole other convention hall for the Cheers and Jeers dinner.
Right.
Or just a sports stadium.
Right. Because it's usually pretty good size. Yeah.
Sometimes the sports stadium is a little bit smaller, but, the sprawling, convention hall complex, you have to consider it sometimes for the Cheers and Jeers dinner. And that is your Connect, Unite, Act Daily Coast community calendar for the 3rd of March of 2017. Oh, my God. All right. Well, now we're at the Friday News Dump and Recycling Center. And there's a couple of stories here, not terribly long, but interesting. How Lamar Smith is going after states' attorney generals for their communications in their investigations of Exxon. He wants those papers. He wants those investigative notes. He wants to know what they have on Exxon, because obviously they have been violating Exxon's constitutional rights to pillage small governments that are in turmoil, pollute their streams, and kill their natives. They have a constitutional right to do that,
Heck yeah.
All the while hiding it from their shareholders, who might not think that that's a good way to run a business. But Chairman Lamar Smith says, the law, I'll tell you what the law is. My name's Lamar Smith. And this is by Samantha Page from Think Progress. Representative Lamar Smith, Republican of Texas, in his probe into the multi-state Exxon New investigation, was already considered by many an overreach of his authority, and state attorneys general have flat out rejected his subpoenas. But the fossil fuel-backed congressman is not backing down. Instead, he's doubling down. Since last spring, Smith has been questioning states' investigation into Exxon, which has allegedly known the climate impacts of his business since at least the 1970s. Because, to be honest with you, Wink, they actually have papers going back to when, way before they were Exxon, right after World War II, right around the time we started building our interstate highways.
Yep.
Just saying. Now, I'm sorry. Since states are investigating whether the company illegally misinformed its shareholders by failing to disclose this risk, the Federal Securities and Exchange Commission is also investigating. Now, Smith has expanded his subpoena to New York and Massachusetts attorneys general to include documents about their office's coordination with environmentalists, scientists, and other states over the Clean Power Plan lawsuit, an entirely separate case from the Exxon New investigation. The documents were due to the House Science, Space, and Technology Committee on Wednesday, where Smith holds the gavel, but New York Attorney General Eric Snyderman and Massachusetts Attorney General Maura Healey again refused to comply. The breadth of this request is staggering, Schneiderman wrote back to Smith. Schneiderman continues, not only does it facially cover the investigative material previously sought, but it effectively requires the New York Office of the Attorney General to turn over years' worth of communications from New York Office of Attorney General attorneys collaborating or consulting with their colleagues in other states. The chairman of the House Science Committee is not a one-person board of federal review of New York's or other states' sovereign decisions about whether environment-related legal matters to discuss or pursue. The 10th Amendment prevents such, quote, tyranny, end quote. Smith has accused the state's Exxon new investigation of being a, quote, coordinated attempt to deprive companies, nonprofit organizations, and scientists of their First Amendment rights, end quote. In addition to New York and Massachusetts, California has also begun investigating the company. Oh, my. The attorneys general argue that it is illegal to mislead shareholders and that Smith has no authority to restrain the state's law enforcement activities. But the new subpoena from Smith suggests that rather than backing down from his line of questioning, he's doubling down. He is now requesting documents not only related to the Exxon investigation, but also related to the state's work on protecting the Clean Power Plan, the EPA's beleaguered rule to reduce carbon dioxide emissions from the electricity sector. What is especially problematic about this expansion, Snyderman's office says, is that Smith himself filed a brief against the Clean Power Plan. I guess this is how it works in the Trump era, Wink.
Yeah.
The fact that a sitting congressman is investigating the opposing side of active litigation does not escape notice by state legal officers. This week, 15 other attorneys general wrote to Smith, accusing him of conducting an inappropriate investigation. You are therefore seeking to use your power as a committee chair to compel the production of the privileged communications of the sovereign state officers who are your adversaries in ongoing litigation. This is an inappropriate use of your purported authority as committee chair, the attorneys general wrote. Gee. Now, the Clean Power Plan lawsuit has pitted nearly every state on one side or another. The case is expected to be heard at the Supreme Court this year. Smith has been an outspoken critic of the Clean Power Plan and, indeed, of any climate science and climate action. He has investigated NOAA's scientific process, the study held up under scrutiny, of course, and has held numerous hearings on the EPA's climate programs. Along the way, oil and gas industry has long been among Smith's top supporters. Those weren't just casual meetings. That's always where the money is exchanged. We didn't really have any in-depth talk about politics. We just handed over the bags to each other.
Exactly.
This is my money. Here's your cut. See you next year. While Smith uses his position to pursue an unprecedented probe into state law enforcement, former Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt has, over the past 2 years, successfully evaded releasing emails between his office and oil and gas companies. During his confirmation hearing to become head of the EPA, Pruitt refused to disclose his correspondence with the industry he's now tasked with regulating. Instead, he directed senators to ask his office for the emails. That correspondence was already requested under the Open Records Act by the Center for Media and Democracy in 2015, and last month, a judge in Oklahoma ordered Pruitt's office to release the documents, but Pruitt was confirmed before the office had to comply. Some correspondence was released just days later, but more emails remain in limbo after the Attorney General's office filed a stay on the judge's order. In a statement following Pruitt's confirmation, Smith said, I look forward to working with the Trump administration and Attorney General Pruitt in bringing our country out of an era of red tape and to a more transparent age based on sound science. Sound science means the money jingling in his pocket, Wink. That's the only sound of science he likes.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Okay. I was just a grunt in the oil industry, But I sure understood exactly how they worked from how it works in the field. Literally. Crazy stuff. Subterfuge, lying, cover up. Spill? What spill? We covered it up. Yeah. Then you walk in it and you got all this gummy stuff all over you. You're like, oh my God. Don't let the kids play in it. Too late.
Indeed.
Okay, this next article is by, Heather Digby Parton out of Salon. In the hours leading up to Trump's speech to the joint session of Congress on Tuesday night, the news networks were giddy with excitement. They had been told by a senior White House official in a private luncheon with news anchors that the president was now in favor of comprehensive immigration reform. This seemed a major signal and a major reset in the administration's agenda, and the media outlets could not have been more thrilled. Nobody knew whether that proposal would be part of the big speech. But there was a lot of feverish speculation that Trump was planning to surprise the country with that long-awaited pivot. As we all know now, he did not mention any such possibility in the speech. It looks like the whole thing was just a ruse to fool the media into giving Trump big props in the run-up to the event. And actually, who was the senior official who said that, Wink? One Donald T. Trump. Or J. Trump.
There we go.
Ooh. So, of course, the media, I don't know if that was really a smart play on Trump's part, Wink. Because those anchors knew they got played. And so did their producers.
Right.
And so did the actual news people who were not there, but were impacted nonetheless.
Right.
Yep. Yes, that's right. Digby continues. The senior most official at the lunch was the president himself. If members of the press don't understand by now that Trump lies as easily as he breathes right to their faces and the entire world, they really need to find another line of work. This is particularly true in this case. It is not even the first time that Trump pulled this exact bait and switch. In late August, there had been a flurry of gossip that Trump was going to soften his stance on immigration in his first major policy speech on the issue. He first flew to Mexico for a bizarre surprise meeting and photo op with President Enrique Peña Nieto, and then returned to Arizona to deliver what was anticipated to be his big pivot. It was anything but. He delivered one of his most hardline speeches of the entire campaign that night, stunning the press corps. The most memorable line was this one, delivered with a feral snarl. There will be no amnesty. Our message to the world will be this. You cannot obtain legal status or become a citizen of the United States by illegally entering our country. People will know that you can't just smuggle in, hunker down, and wait to be legalized. Those days are over. Of course, he screamed it, I'm sure, rather than just snarled it like that. One would have thought that after being misled on this subject before, representatives of the media would have shown a little bit more skepticism this time. But of course they weren't. They were just giddy about what they were expecting to be his big proclamation about, we're going to, compassionate extreme vetting.
Yeah.
And what was his compassionate extreme vetting? Bringing out the Office of Immigrant Crime. He calls it VOICE. Victims of Immigrant Crime Engagement. And where did this come out of? Well, we alluded to it earlier in the week. And indeed, it was from the Nazis, who gave weekly reports, breathless tabloid type, yellow sheet journalism. In some cases, broadsheets that they could plaster up on building sides. of the crimes committed by those terrible Jews infesting our pure countryside. Of course, Digby does go much further than that and explains that the Nazis didn't get the idea on their own because they got it from us in the old slave patrols trying to round up people who thought they could be human beings instead of slaves.
Right.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our broadcast period here for the after show for today and the week. But that doesn't mean that Netroots Radio doesn't have continuing live coverage, because we've got our own shows coming up on Saturday with the Roundtable Roundhouse Power Hour with Wink and Roaring Girl. An hour opportunity for live call-in radio begins at 9 p.m. on the West Coast, midnight on the East Coast. And, of course, Jibber Your Jabber with Wink on Sunday night. And that's a 2-hour opportunity beginning at 9 p.m. West Coast, midnight East Coast. So stay tuned to Netroots Radio 24/7, 365. Before Hartman comes up about 6 minutes after the hour, we're going to listen to Jian and Kamian's Slow Hand Hussein. All right. Continue listening to Netroots Radio 24/7, 365. And why? Well, because who loves you, baby? Okay, Wink, I will see you on the other side.
All right. We're out.